really drew me to medicine was the relational and human aspects of being a doctor and taking care of people who are sick. When I was in college, had a family member who was diagnosed with cancer. I just remember that whole experience and how it changed our whole family.
The buzzword in healthcare is efficiency. Everyone wants a short wait time to have labs and imaging back quickly.
One thing that I can point to that still lingers is I remember very early in my medical training walking into patients' rooms and having this very visceral sense of an internal clock ticking and putting sort of a time limit on how much time I'm according myself for this encounter.
We know today that a lot of physicians, when they're asked, say that they tell their children not to go into medicine. I always tell people, absolutely go into medicine. It's still very good work. You just have to go in with your eyes open that you're going to face a big, complex industry, bureaucracy, and it's corrupted by sin, like everything else. So I think at the baseline level, the Christian story matters because it animates my whole view of the work. When I go to work, I will frequently call to mind the fact that I'm going to encounter people who are coming to me in God's image and in a mysterious way, even as Christ himself, Jesus says.
For me, it becomes part and parcel of what it means to have a faithful presence in a space, is to be attentive to those who are on the margins.
I remember realizing that when people are sick, something important is happening. There's an opportunity, there's a moment for close relationships, there's a moment to care for each other, to listen to each other in a way that doesn't happen in normal day-to-day life. And I remember thinking, it would be pretty amazing to have the opportunity to be deeply enmeshed in people's lives when they're experiencing very challenging things like that.
I remember it was the middle of the night, so probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and we were really busy, and we got an admission and got a brief summary from the emergency department physician about this patient who was being admitted. He was a gentleman who I was told was homeless, who struggled with substance use disorder, was addicted to cocaine, was admitted frequently and often left against medical advice, and just was a notoriously difficult patient to take care of due to that sort of background. So I was given a brief summary of the patient, and then I walked into his room, and I remember very distinctly feeling throughout my body and thinking in my head that right here in this place was the last place that I wanted to be at that moment. Not only was I tired and insecure and scared, but I was in front of a patient who, as soon as I walked in the room, started cursing at me, demanding things. Somehow, in the midst of that encounter, despite every impulse inside me to sort of respond in kind and to be short, I just felt a deep conviction in that moment to just be, to not respond. And it was as if a voice was speaking to me saying, "This is me, I am here." And that experience of encountering this man who ostensibly was so different from me in lots of ways somehow served as a reminder to me of the profound depths that Christ will go to meet us and to shake us from our comfort zones and to remind us that he is found, especially in those places that we are most prone to become impatient and self-righteous and angry. And leaving that encounter not feeling like I had solved anything or fixed a problem per se, but feeling as if I had encountered Jesus.
My hope is that I can be a part of a system that does not feel this great sense of burden by time and efficiency. And my hope is to see healthcare professionals who feel a sense of rejuvenation, who feel that there are places of restoration, and that the pace of the work itself is sustainable.
And I often tell young people, encourage young people that hope should not be conflated or confused with optimism, right? That things will just work themselves out. No, I think hope is having a deep moral vision that things don't have to be the way that they are. And oftentimes, hope is not based on an empirical reality, meaning that, oh, well, we've seen things differently, say, and therefore that's the basis of our hope. I think hope is based on a larger vision that's informed by something beyond ourselves. And so it's really difficult to be committed to justice, but then also not have a sense of hope. And hope is leaning in our individual and collective efforts to try to realize the way things ought to be. And as long as we continue in that work, then that in of itself, I think, serves as the basis of hope. And also, I think it serves as a mode of resistance.
So I think one thing that confirmed my desire was after I graduated from college and before I was going to go to medical school, I had the opportunity to work at this really amazing place called Lawndale Christian Health Center, which is a health center in Chicago that's a community health center that is committed to taking care of, I think, the most underserved people in Chicago. So primarily patients who either have no insurance or undocumented immigrants or are on Medicaid. And I remember leaving that year thinking, wow, medicine can be even more than I had ever thought it could be.